perfection the beans from. Madame Vaira is coming from Roman breeders. So they are those who have Roman clasp. She's the one, and she's from overseas, not in Uganda.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. My name is Viola Holek. I am from Germany and I work for a company which is called Lohmann Breeders. They are actually two big complexes or two big holdings nowadays in the world who are breeding layer chicks. One is the Dutch company, Henrits, and the other one is the German company, Lohmann, which belongs to a big holding, the EW, and in the same group is Highline, H&N, Lohmann, and Novogen. So you see there are two big complexes who are breeding layers, and I'm working for one of them, for the German group. I am 25 years this year with, no, actually longer. Last year I was 25 years with Lohmann, and actually it's 26 or 27 years because I was on the broiler side as well for Asia. I am responsible for Africa, together with my colleague Dr. Ama, who's over there. And I'm really grateful for SR to invite me here. I think we have a fantastic event here because I don't know if you're aware, but people can follow this event online. So there's a link which was sent out and people all around Uganda can follow this event here and hopefully learn something from the presentations. So my aim here is to give you a little bit of an overview what is happening in the world with layers, in which market you are in a really good market, and then help you to get some information, help you with the management of layers. You can use what I'm telling you here for other breeds as well, but I give you tables for and standards for the Loma bird. And then I would like to show you what the company is doing to improve the layers you're getting here, because we have started to make field tests, so testing of our breed in African environment. So in open houses, with a lot of light impact, heat, bad management, bad feed. So we are selecting now birds really specially for Africa and for this environment. And I wanted to show you, I was in Zambia last week where we had the first test running in Zambia. So I'll tell you a little bit about that. And if you have questions afterwards, please feel free to ask me questions. I don't know how much time we have, but I'm very happy to answer all kind of questions and also in the breaks. So, let me start a little bit with a background of what we have. We have layers. So, these layers are coming from Asia. They came from Asia around 2,800 years ago. And, I'm lost. I lost one slide. So, they came from Asia about 3,200 years ago, moved to the Mediterranean and then to Europe 2,800 years ago, and only arrived in Africa 1,100 to 800 years ago. So we have to keep this a little bit in mind, because the birds you have here have another program concerning light program, and I will get back to that. So the cradle of humankind is in Africa. I don't know if you know Lucy. This is the first skeleton of a humankind found in Ethiopia. And you see, this is how the lady looked like. But chicken came from Asia. So this is the global egg production worldwide. And you see that started in 2091, this research, and it ends in 2022. And you can see how nicely the egg consumption, the egg production globally is improving. So you are in a very good business. These are the top egg producing countries. The first one you can see is China. These Chinese are eating a lot of eggs. Followed then by India, then comes Indonesia, and the last one in this list is Turkey. You see, Africa is not yet on the list. We are not eating enough eggs in Africa. This is a little table which shows you where in kilogram per capita, so how much everybody is eating eggs in kilograms in 1 year. And as you can see here, wait, I quickly have to switch on my beamer. This is China. They have over 25 kilograms. And the other one is Mexico. Mexico also, they eat a lot of eggs. And then here is Russia. You see the ones from which are then moving up. That's, I have to look myself, that's 15 kilos. So in this area it's 15 kilos. Here it's even less. So you have an idea what the egg consumption in the world is looking like. And this is Africa. You see there's not much of egg consumption going on. Up here in North Africa, in South Africa, here we even have very few egg consumptions, and here is around 0 to 5, this is 5 kilograms. The average egg consumption in Africa is 44. So in average, every person in Africa is eating 44 eggs in a year. That's not really a lot. And in Uganda, you're eating 37 eggs per year. So eat a few more eggs, and then the industry will also grow. Imagine if only one person would eat 1 egg more a year. That's a lot of eggs you can sell. But I have good news. These are the 6 African countries which are amongst the highest growth in the world. And that's in 2024. So you see, Niger has a growth of over 12%. They're growing very quickly. Uganda, in this research, was around 6% growth, so also Uganda is doing very well. If you compare in Germany, we have a growth which is hardly hitting 1%. So very nice outlook for Africa. And the growth of Uganda in 2024 was 6.7%. So very nice. And this is for everybody who was complaining before about the feed prices and the production costs. And this is, I think, a very nice table for all of us in the egg industry. This is the demand of eggs in Africa. You are in the exactly right industry. We are going upwards. So, to produce eggs for all these demands, what do we have to do? Let's start with the management of rearing. What do we want to have in the rearing? Why do we need to have a good rearing management? We need to have a good rearing management because we want to have a very robust layer, a strong bird with a good appetite. We want to have a bird which can eat a lot and which has a good body weight. And why do we want to have it? Because only a layer with a good body weight and a good appetite can give us high amount of eggs and is not dying on us. These are the standards for the Lohmann Brown Classic. This is the birds you have here in Uganda. One is for the alternative housing and the other one is for the cage housing. So you see there's a difference. There was a lady here who wanted to go into the number of birds with 17 weeks. And then, and I just press this one to put it on again. Okay. And then you take the complete amount of eggs, divided by the number of chicks you have housed, or the number of chicks which were in the house with 17 weeks. And what you have is the number of eggs each hen has produced you. Is that easy to understand? Yeah? Who has not understand it? Anybody didn't understand this? Yeah? Good. So, I have a little example here. So you have flock X. This flock X has produced 330,000 eggs for you at the end of production. You had 1,000 birds. Either you took 1,000 birds from the rearing house and placed it in your production house, or you started on week 17 with 1,000 birds. You take the 330,000 eggs divided by 1,000, and you end up with 330 eggs per hen housed. Now if we go back to the standards, here you can now see if you had 330, you have made a very good job because you are 9 eggs more than the standard. If you end up with only 280, you have lost something like 40 eggs in this production. And this is a much better measure to find out, am I doing a good job? Do I have a good management? Is everything right in my farm? Then when you come and I ask people, how are you doing? How's your product? Oh, it's very good, I have 90%. Nobody is calculating really how long this 90% is lasting. Do you have 1 week of 90%? Do you have 5 weeks of 90%? Do you maybe not make 90%, but your flock at the end of production is very high, so this peak you did not reach was then compensated by a better production at the end? So if you want to know how much money you're doing, because you have to then also calculate how much money did I get per chick. This is only when you know how many eggs you made. And then when you calculate, I'm getting €1 per egg, then you know how much money did I make for this one chicken. Then you have to calculate how much feed did I give this one chicken to produce the 330 eggs. And this is another calculation here. You take the total amount of eggs, you divide it by the You take the total amount of eggs which you produced, then you divide it through the number of eggs you have placed, and then from 17 weeks on, and then you have the, I'm jumping. This is the feed consumption. Sorry, I went back. So the feed consumption on the standard is 2 to 2.2 kilograms of feed for 1 kilogram of egg mass. Kilogram of egg mass and not by egg, that's our standard. So how do you calculate it? You take the total amount of eggs, take it by 63 grams, because this is the standard of the egg weight for 72 weeks, and then you have the egg mass. So when we go back to the example before, 330,000 eggs times 73 grams, we are on 20,790 kilograms of egg mass your flock of 1,000 birds has produced. Now you take the total amount of feed you used. So for the whole period, make a calculation, same as the egg. How many kilograms of feed did I buy or did I produce? Divide it by the kilogram of egg mass, and then you know how much kilogram of feed did I need for 1 kilogram of egg. And only then you know, am I profitable or am I losing money? Is that understood? Yes? Yes. Good. And this is an example down here. Normally we are calculating with 60 kilograms of feed per bird. So if you calculate 60 kilograms of feed per bird times 1,000, it's around 60,000 kilograms of feed you have to put in this flock of yours. Make a calculation if you're higher or if you're lower, and then you can talk about feed costs. And it is the question really is not the peak production, not how long was it over 90%. The question is, how much feed did I have to give to this layer to produce how many eggs? This is a little bit of a calculation in the background, so you know if you are doing a good job or not. And I'm trying to help you here to do a good job. Let's start with the housing requirements. So, if you start a farm, if you have a layer project, and you want to have a number of production houses, not only one, but a number of production houses. So, your project or your farm is called multi-age. So, you have a lot of houses with different ages. For these houses, you need normally a rearing house. And in this rearing house, you keep the birds for 16 weeks or for 17 until you then transfer them to the production house. This rearing house has to be protected. It cannot be, and I see it very often, it cannot be in the middle of your farm. Very often I come and then you have the production houses, and somewhere in the corner of this whole farm is the rearing house with the young birds. The problem is that the old birds are all vaccinated. They don't get the diseases, hopefully. They do get the diseases, but they have an immune system which we have boosted by giving them a vaccination program for 16 or 17 weeks. These small birds, the baby birds you're getting from hatcheries, they don't have the vaccination program yet. They might have gotten a MARIC vaccination, an IB or ND in the hatchery, but they have not had yet the full vaccination program, which then gives them the tools to fight themselves against the diseases. So the old birds get the diseases, they don't get sick, but they transfer it to these young babies, which now had not gotten this immune system yet, they didn't have developed it yet, so they will get sick and you have high mortality. The best thing to do is have a rearing house away from your production houses, have it on another farm as far away as possible from any other chicken, and then rear your day-old chicks at least for 4 weeks, if possible for 16 weeks in this rearing house. Otherwise you have mortality and all the money you have invested in this flock, the new flock coming in, is gone. The other requirement for the houses is space. You don't know how often I come into chicken houses and it's cramped. It's cramped. You can hardly move because there's so many chicks in this chicken house. So, these are some examples of a... You see this here? You can hardly walk in this house because there's so many hens in this house. The problem is they feel hot. The air between them is getting warmer and warmer. There is no circulation. The layers feel hot. When they feel hot, they don't want to eat. When they don't want to eat, they're not producing eggs. So try to reduce, and I will give you the standards for that, reduce the number of birds you put in a house, and also reduce the number of birds you put in a cage. If you look in this cage, and I count quickly, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, around 9 hens in one cage, which is actually made for 6, if not 5 in hot climates. So you're not gaining money by stuffing as many birds in one cage. They need to have feeding space and they need to feel comfortable to be able to eat and then produce the eggs. This is our recommendation of space and also feeding, what we give to our customers. You can find it in the management guide. So when we look at floor rearing, let's start with floor rearing, because I think the majority here has the chicks on the floor. So between 0 and 4 weeks, you can put 20 chicks per square meter. So please go back to your rearing houses, to your brooding houses, and make a calculation, how many square meters does my house have? And please exclude, don't count the area where you put the feed bags, where you have your material, but really the area where you put your chicks. And calculate how many birds do I put in this house, and what is the recommendation. So, if your house has 1,000 square meters, you can put in 2,000 birds. When the birds are growing, so between 5 and 17 weeks then, of course, they need more space because they get bigger. And many people forget that. They put the chicks in and they don't adjust not only the feeding and the feeders and the drinkers, but they don't adjust the space for them. So when the birds get a bit bigger, between 5 and 17 weeks, you can only put 10 birds per square meter. Make sure that the birds not only have space, but they have enough drinkers and they have enough feeding space, so feeders in the house. If you look at this recommendation, you can have a feeding pan, in one feeding pan, calculate for 60 birds for one feeding pan up to 4 weeks, and then between 5 and 17, you can only calculate 30 birds per pan, per feeding pan. That means you have to increase the number of feeding pans. The more feeding pans are there, the easier it is for the small birds to eat. They don't have to compete with the big birds, and then you have a better uniformity in your flock. Water space, very important. I see that very often. I come into placements, even also for parent stock, you come in and you make a calculation how many drinkers are in the house and there are not enough drinkers. So, between 0 and 4 weeks, one chick fountain, one of these little chick fountains, you can put one in for 100 birds. When the birds are growing, you have to adjust, you have to put more drinkers in, and then please calculate for 75 birds per drinker. I don't think there are many drafts left. I see the round pens, but if somebody's using drafts, then please have a look. 1.4 centimeter per bird when they are from 0 to 4 weeks old, and then when they get bigger, give them a feeding space of 2.5 centimeter per bird. Any questions to this? Is this understood? Okay. So, how much space do we have to give our birds? This is the recommendation we give for our clients, our customers, for our birds. So if you have them, we call it deep litter, so if you have them on the floor, and your environment temperature normally is 25 degrees Celsius, you can give them, you can put 5.5 birds per square meter. If you put them in a cage, you can give them 450 square centimeter per bird. If the temperature is going up, they need more space. So, on the deep litter, on the floor, 30 degrees Celsius in the house, only 4.5 birds per square meter. And if you have them in the cage, you have to give them more space, then they need to have 550 square centimeter per cage. 35 degrees Celsius, and this is what I see very often in farms, you can only put 3.5, or we recommend to put only 3.5 birds per square meter on the floor, and if you have them in a cage, give them 650 square centimeters. Very important, and I see that unfortunately very often, if you have a house, an open house, and no other system of ventilation than natural ventilation, so no fans, no closed houses, you just want to have the wind going through, it's not a very good idea to block the circulation of the air by buildings or by plants or by any obstacles in front. This is an example from Ghana. So you have, here is the entrance of the farm, and what you see over here is the chicken house. So it's where the layers are in. And this farm manager was very proud about his new house he constructed right opposite the layer farm, and as you can see, it will block the ventilation of the wind. So maybe the farm manager is happy about the house, but the layers were not happy about the house. They have blocked ventilation inside, and they felt very hot. And Ghana is a very hot country. You are happy, you can be very glad here in Uganda, your temperature is very nice. Ghana is very hot and very humid, so these birds were not happy at all. Strange, one thing is missing. My presentation jumped. So what I wanted to say in this slide, it's here, but it's not there. What you also have to make sure is that you don't have this high light intensity in the house. Remember what I told you just at the beginning where the chicks are coming from? Layers, our layer chicken are coming from the jungle. So they are genetically, or in their genes, they still live in jungles. And in the jungle, in the underwood, you don't have bright sunlight. It's a dim light inside. So if you put a layer in a bright house, it will get very nervous, because it's not, from their nature, they don't like this bright sunlight. The next thing they do when they get nervous, they look around and they will start packing their sister, because they're stressed. That's when cannibalism is always the effect of stress. It can be the stress of bad feed, it can be the stress of too many birds together, it can be the stress of dust. And if you have a high light impact and you have cannibalism in your house and packing, it will probably come, amongst other things, from this light intensity. So what can you do to reduce this high light intensity in the house? This is an example from Kenya. So this farmer also had very bright light in his house, and it's very simple. We just put some nets in front. This is how it looks from the outside. This is how it looks from the inside. So you see there's still air coming from here, so there's a nice ventilation inside, but the light intensity in the house went down. He never had a problem with packing, he never had a problem with cannibalism, and his birds were nice and calm and started laying at the right time. What kind of nets do we use? Very easy. This is a picture from Tanzania, from a coffee plantation. You have it very often, these nets on nurseries, and they are protecting their young coffee plants from the sunlight. So this is the nets they're using, this kind of quality. You buy them in these rolls. Make sure that you have the right quality of the nets, because if it's the thinner the net is, the cheaper it is, but you want to avoid to have the light impact, so you want to make it darker. So make sure that you don't get the cheapest quality, go somewhere in the middle, and then you will see the effects in the house is very good for your birds. They will produce more and you will have less mortality. Another very important topic is the light in the house, because I'm not sure how many people here are using light, but we are recommending, and I will tell you later why, we are recommending to use a light program in the house. That means you give artificial light to the birds, in the rearing, help them to get a good body weight, and in production, we help them to produce a higher number of eggs, because we give them more light. But the problem is you need to have the right light bulb. You need to have the right quality of light. And this is what happens when you have the wrong bulbs in your house. The hertz, so the swinging of the light in the bulb should be over 50 hertz. And you can easily check if you have the right lights or not. You just take your smartphone, put it on video, hold it against the light bulb. And when it makes this fluctuation, when you see this, then you have the wrong bulbs. And the eyes of the chicken are much better than our eyes, because again, they come from the jungle, they have to see in the darkness, so they see much better than we see. For the birds, this is like disco lights. You put them in disco lights. Go to a discotheque your whole life. You will come out and you only want to kill somebody. Yeah? So, take your smartphones, everybody has a smartphone nowadays. Make a video of the bulbs you're using. If you see this, please change your bulbs. And this is a message I have, and I see this, funny enough, a lot in Uganda. I come to farmers and I ask them, how many hours of light are you giving your chicks, the newborn chicks in the rearing? And I say, 6 weeks, I'm giving them 24 hours, 6 weeks. Never, ever do that. 2 hours, 24 hours of light, so that means daylight and in the night is the maximum. And imagine, if you go to Russia, if the KGB catches you, or in America, if the Secret Service is catching, a torture, this is a torture for human. If they want to have their answers to all the questions they have for you, they put you 24 hours on light. They put you in a room with 24 hours of light, and it takes a few days and you tell them anything they want. It's the same with chicken. So if you give chicken 24 hours light, you will never get the body weight, or they will never get the body weight, because what are they doing? They're running around the whole time. They have 24 hours of light. So the food you give them They're not using to grow, they're moving. It's logic. And they're nervous. They don't have time to rest. And if you give somebody no time to rest, he will get very aggressive. So this is what happens to your chicken. If you do that, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, 6 weeks with 24 hours of light, you have a very fragile bird, which doesn't have the body weight, which is very nervous, and will start eating his sister or her sister. Yeah? I will show you what to do. So 24 hours of light will create a nervous flock. Pecking will lead to cannibalism. Cannibalism will lead to mortality, of course. Low body weight, and we need to have a bird with good body weights, and I'll show you why a little bit later. It will lead to prolapse, because if you have a small bird which starts laying eggs, the eggs are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but the bird is small. So at one point, we will have a prolapse. The sister will see the nice pink thing hanging out of the cloaca, will start pecking, and you have prolapse, cannibalism, and a lot of money lost. You will have a poor production, you will have fragile birds. All the things we don't want to have. So, let's start from the beginning. You're getting baby chicks. What do you do? A little bit of a background information. Poikilothermic means this is an organism which has a body temperature which is fluctuating, which is depending on the outside temperature. So when the outside temperature is cold, the body temperature will go down. When the outside temperature is warm, the body temperature will go up. So it depends very much on the outside environment, on the environment around this organism, where the body temperature is going. Is it going up or is it going down? Homeothermic means you have an organism which can keep his body temperature. So if it's cold, it will keep the body temperature. If it's warm, it will keep the body temperature. This is like we. When it's cold outside, our body temperature is more or less staying stable. When it's hot, it's the same. So what do you think? Chicks, are they poikilothermic organisms or are they homeothermic? I heard an answer? Poly. Yes. Chicks are poikilothermic creatures, at least for the first 5 days of their life. And that means for us that chicks cannot regulate their body temperatures for 5 days. In nature, what chicks are doing, they run around. When they get cold, they go under the wings of their mother to get warm again. And then they go out into it once they're warm again, and then body temperature of a chick is between 40 and 41 degrees Celsius, so much warmer than we are. Once they are warm enough, they go out again, they eat, they drink. When they feel cold, they go back. In the case of our chicks, there is no mother. We are the mother. So we have to make sure that the chicks have an environmental temperature, so the house temperature, which allows them to feel well, so they can eat and drink. If you have the wrong house temperature, then you have a problem, because your chicken will not eat, it will not drink, and if you see a mortality after 4 days, it's because you made a mistake. And we are not starting to warm the houses when the chicks are coming. You have to start to warm the houses 1 day, at least 24 hours, if not 48 hours, before the chicks are housed, before the chicks arrive. Because the walls and the litter also has to be warm. These birds are in contact with the litter and they're in contact with the walls. So once they stand on a cold floor, also the body temperature will go down, they will not eat, they will not drink, and they will die. And the other problem is that when the temperature is not correct, the metabolism of the birds cannot kick in. That means the digestive system cannot start, the energy level cannot start, and then you will have a problem. You will have a problem and the chicks will have a problem. So if you go into your house a few days after housing and you see these pasted vents, you know, this feces sticking on the cloaca of the birds, that means something went wrong. The temperature was too low, or, very often forgotten, the humidity in the house was too low. So, question. What is the correct temperature for day-old chicks? 29 to 30 degrees Celsius? 31 to 32 degrees Celsius? 33 to 34 degrees Celsius? Or 35 to 36 degrees Celsius? So maybe, who thinks 29 to 30 degrees is correct? Put your hands up. Nobody, okay? 31 to 32? Okay. 33 to 34? One, okay. And 35 to 36, who thinks this is correct?
You raise the hands.
Yeah, raise your hands. Aha, very good. Yeah, we have more. The people who thought 35 to 36 is correct, you are right. Everybody else who didn't have raised their hand and thought the other one, you are wrong. So, 35 to 36 degrees. And don't forget, the humidity in the house has to be correct as well. So, 60% humidity is something we need to have for our day-old chicks. This is a table to show you how much temperature, or what the temperature should be. The black one here is cage, the yellow one is on the floor. And you can see that in the cage you can go 1 degree Celsius lower than on the floor because the birds are closer to each other. So on the floor for the first 2 days, please use 36 degrees Celsius. In the cage you can go to 35. And then day 3 to 4, you can go down slowly with the temperature. 20 degrees is, I think, difficult to achieve when you have open houses here. You will probably settle between 24 and 27, but you see it takes until 4 weeks until you slowly, every day, a little bit more go down, and then this is the temperature they feel well. Yeah? Is that understood?
Yes.
So, you can use thermometers, and I will show you in a minute how the thermometers are looking like, but a good farmer can tell from the behavior of his chicks if they're feeling well or not. So, if you have chicks which are distributed like this, they are hot. This is the heat source in the middle, so either it's a gas heater or it's a charcoal heater, and the chicks are moving away. What is it? They feel hot, of course, because they go away. These are some examples from, this one was also in Ghana. The temperature in this house was 42 degrees, so this farmer was cooking his chicks. And you can see the wings are open, the birds look very unhappy, they're panting, they just feel too hot. It's good when you eat the house, don't make barbecue chicken out of them, see that you stay on 36 degrees. So what do you think is happening here? Yeah, it's too cold. They move to the heat source. They go together. So when they pile up together under the heat source, they don't want to eat, they don't want to drink. The only thing they want to do is survive and be warm. These are some photos from Ethiopia. And in Ethiopia, they're using these infrared lights because they say charcoal is very expensive, electricity is cheaper, and they have these infrared lights. I don't like them at all, and you can see why. Because all the chicks are running to this one bulb to get warm, and they're not eating and not drinking. So the mortality in this farm is normally very high. They have luckily changed the system now. They have a much better system, but this is the outcome. When you see this in your houses, you know you do something wrong. And when your chicks are moving all in one corner, there could be two reasons for that. Number one, there's some cold air passing by here, so they move away from the cold air. Or you have a light source here. Your lamps are not distributed evenly in the house, so you have dark areas and you have brighter areas. And if you have a lamp here, the chicks will move to the lamp. Yeah. And then they will also not find enough feeders and drinkers, and they will also die here. So make sure you have a very nicely, evenly distributed light source in the house. This is how it looks like when you have the correct temperature. The chicks are distributed very evenly, they eat, they drink, they're happy, and you are happy afterwards because they all survive. This is what I use when I go for placement of chicks, and I'm nearly every week I'm a placement, so I'm in a farm where the chicks are arriving. I use this ear thermometer, which is actually for babies, or for grown-ups as well. You put it in your ear, and after a few seconds it beeps, and you have your temperature. I use the same for chicks. You don't put it into the chick. I hope nobody has that. You just put it on the skin, and then you can see the temperature of the chick. And the body temperature, normal body temperature of chicks is 40 to 41 degrees Celsius. If the body temperature is higher, you have to reduce the temperature. If it's lower, you have to increase the temperature. Very often. These are the tools which should always be, maybe this one is difficult to get in Uganda, but I'm sure this one you will get. And this one is the most important one, a thermometer. And go for a digital thermometer which gives you not only the temperature, but also the humidity. And you can see down here, there's always the humidity sign, up here is the temperature. This one I also use, this is a little laser thermometer. And with this I can check the water temperature, I can check the temperature of the sawdust, of the litter, of the houses. Very useful in production. You can also check the temperature of the water, if it's maybe too warm for you to have layers. I will get to that later. So these are the tools I'm using, and go at least for this one when you house chicks, it will save you a lot of money. This is a very nice invention I saw in Kenya. So this gentleman is using charcoal heaters, and instead of having an open charcoal heaters where the smoke and the fumes are then in the chicken house and irritates the eyes of the chicks, he has invented a charcoal heater where the fumes are going out. So the coals are in here, the fire is in here, and the fumes go out. This one is also good to see. Here is the heating source, and it's out. And if you look around, this gentleman did something else. You see that he put paper over the sawdust. And this is a very elegant solution. When you place chicks, put paper over your litter and put feed on that paper. There are two reasons for that. Number one, the chicks who don't find space in the pans, because pans, the chicks are going in, and the ones who cannot find feed, they have to roam around and look for feed. If you have paper and you put feed on the paper, all the chicks can eat at the same time. And the little tapping on, this noise of tapping on paper is stimulating the other birds to also eat. So this is a very elegant solution if you want to have your chicks eating at the same time, and this is what we want. And just leave the paper in the house, it will dissolve, and there's no need to take it out, it will be part of the litter. And what you also can see on this image, he has enough drinkers. You see there's a long row of drinkers. The temperature is correct. He didn't have at that point electrical lights, he used kerosene lights, but he has enough in, so there was enough light. You can do with very simple tools the right thing. And when you look at his chicks, they're nicely distributed, they're eating, they're drinking. On the other one you can see that as well. They were moving away from me. But if this is parent stuff, you see the brown ones are the males, the white ones are the females, and these are happy chicks in this Kenyan house. Humidity is unfortunately very often underestimated and forgotten as a parameter of the house. A newborn chick is consisting of 75% of water. And this newborn chick only has 38 grams, 37, 38, 39 grams. To lose this water out, so to dehydrate, it's very, very easy for this small creature. So, the house humidity has to be between 60 and 70%. And another advantage is when there is humidity in the house, when the humidity level is high, the energy, so the heat, can move better, so the chicks feel warmer. We have the same when we go to a sauna. I don't know if you go to a sauna. And you put hot water on the stuff, the humidity increases and you feel very hot. Or when you go to a tropical country where it's hot and humid, you feel much hotter than a country where it's just hot and the air is dry. What can you do to increase the humidity in your house? Very easy. That was also in Kenya 2 weeks ago. You take a knapsack and you spray on the surface You spray on the litter, you spray on the walls, you spray in the air, and you can also spray on the chicks. Very easy. Yeah? And the knapsack, they don't cost you a lot of money. Please make the nozzles to very fine. You don't want to put rain on your chicks, you don't want to have them soaking wet, you just want to have this fog. So adjust it to this very fine fog, and then you can increase very easily the humidity in your house. This was something in Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, you see they use these drums as a heater. Inside is the charcoal. And what you can do is, you just put water on this drum. That's a little bit the effect of a sauna. You put the water on the hot drum, it will evaporate, and you have an increased humidity in the house. Or, this is very nice as well. You see if you have gas heaters, so this top is a gas heater, and this is one of these old broiler pans made out of metal, and then you still find them anywhere, or you just ask one of your fundis to do it, and then you put water into this metal. With the gas, with the heat of the gas going on the water, of course it will evaporate as well, and you have a better humidity in the house. Very simple things you can do. You can also go and put tablecloth or bed sheets, make them wet, hang them in the house. By drying, they will increase the humidity. Put water on the floor, wherever you go, not on the litter, because that will cause bacterial growth, but put it on any area where you don't have litter, put water in and it will evaporate. One of the aims we have, or the aim we have in rearing chicks is the body weight. So we want to have chicken with good body weights. And I know a lot of farmers who say, I'm not going to invest so much money in feed while the chicks are growing, because only when they start laying eggs, I will give them proper feed. This is the biggest mistake you can do. Because if you don't have good body weights in the rearing, if you don't reach the standard, or the birds don't reach the standard, if you don't have a good rearing result, these birds will never be able to give you the amount of eggs genetically they can produce. So, what is our aim? We have to be on the breeder standard for the first 72 weeks of their lives. So the rearing doesn't stop with 17 weeks, it stops with 27. What do you need to do that? You need a scale. And I don't know how many farms I visit and I ask for a scale and I don't have a scale. So how are you supposed to know the body weight? You need to invest in scales. There are a number of scales you can use. This one is a fancy one from Europe. So the birds are jumping on and the scale is calculated, can identify one bird is coming on, and it will give you the average. This one is a digital one. You can see you hang it and it will give you in digital numbers the weight of the bird, but it also calculates the average, the uniformity, the CV, so it's very elegant. Or you just take a normal one like this one and you can weigh the birds. Every week, please, every week, once a week. So let's say you have received your new flock on Monday. Every Monday, go in and weigh 5% of your flock. And write it down and compare it to the standards. And this is our standard for Loma. So you can see this is the age in the weeks. This is the range, so the lower range, the higher range. Always stick to the average, go for the average. And this is what the bird should weigh. So with 3 weeks, they should have 190 grams. With 12 weeks, they should have 1,020 grams. You can find this this table, the standards, in the management guide. I will show you later at the end of the presentation where you can get that. I would like to explain to you a little bit why we are having different feed and what is happening to our birds in the rearing. So this table shows you the increase in the week. So how much weight are they putting on every week? And as you can see here, the period of the highest growth, of the strongest growth, is until 6 weeks. The red area is bones, so the skeleton. The blue one is protein. And the green one is fat. So in the first 6 weeks, in this case, I think it goes 6 weeks is here, so until 8 weeks, they are developing the skeleton. That means they're developing their frame. The size of the chick is developed in this time. If your birds don't have their body weight in this time, they're going to be small. So the skeleton growth is only here a little bit more, but this is the period where your birds are growing. And only a big layer can give you the amount of eggs they can genetically give you. And then in this time you also have the organs which are developed. This is the protein, the heart, the lungs, the digestive system. Everything is based here. If your birds don't have the body weight here, they are small and their organs are not well developed. This is why we give them until 3 weeks, normally starter feed. Starter feed has 21% of protein and a high amount of calcium to help them to develop to help them in this stadium and this period where they're growing so quickly. Then you have grower. The grower feed is a little bit lower on the protein, it's around 20%, also to help the birds and the higher calcium to help the birds in this period. Then we come to this phase here, where the birds are still putting on weight. It doesn't mean they're losing weight, they're still put on weight, but they put on weight slower. So their weekly growth is not that strong anymore, and we are using this period here to train the birds to eat a lot. And this is very important. If you have a skinny person, it does eat one plate and then he says, half of the plate, I don't want to eat anymore. If you have a big person, he's used to eat 3 plates and then he will ask you, and where's my dessert? We want to have a bird who asks for dessert. Yeah? So you train them in this period. And here, in this period, you use 3-layer feed. In this period here, the sexual organs, the ovaries are now developing, they're ready to go into lay. So this is why they have an increase of body weight again, and mainly fat and protein. And we have one problem here. If you have a bird which did not have the body weight in this first period, but who catches up the body weight at the end, you will end up probably with a bird who has a lot of fat, because it didn't grow anymore in the size, but it grows in fat. And when a layer has a lot of abdominal fat, it will have a problem pushing out the egg, and then you have problems. So make sure that you are on the weight, on the body weight standards of the breeder. It doesn't matter if you have Sasso, look for the Sasso breed. If you have Isa, look for the Isa breeder standard. If you have Lohmann, look for our ones. But make sure that you are on the body weight standards. This table shows you the same again, a little bit in a different layout. So you have this period of very strong growth here, and then the birds are still growing, but not that much every week, and here again. And as you can see down here, you still have an increase of body weight until 327, and that's very important. So here, this is the period of fast growth. Then you have this, we call it unspecific growth, where you train them to eat. And here you have the sexual maturity. And this is how the body weight of the bird is supposed to look like in the rearing. My main message is, do not change feed with the calendar. So don't say we have week number 3, now I'm going to change my feed. You have to change your feed according to the body weight of the birds. Very logic. If it's the birds are 3 weeks old, they don't have the body weight of 3 weeks, in this case 200 grams. If they don't have the body weight of 200 grams, and you change from the starter to the grower, you make it very difficult for this bird to catch up, because the grower feed is less dense than the starter feed. So stay on the starter feed until the birds have 200 grams, and then you can change. And therefore it's very important to take body weights. If you don't take the body weights, you don't know the weight of your bird. And you just go through your calendar and say, it's week number 3, I changed my feed. It's week number 9, I changed my feed. And you don't take in consideration, you don't look at your birds. So manage your birds according to their body weights and not according to your calendar. You can help your birds by separating them in small, medium, and large throughout the rearing. You do vaccinations where you hold them in your hand, your people go through, you see this is a small bird. Take the small bird and put it in the pen where the small birds are, the medium and the large. The advantage is that the smaller ones don't have to fight with the bigger ones to get feed, so they have a better chance of growing. And what you can do is when you have one pen with bigger birds and another pen with smaller birds, you can change with 3 weeks the birds who have the right body weight to the grower, and the ones who are still small, you keep them a little bit longer on the starter. So you rear them according to their body weights. And use a light program. I'm going to show you the light program to help your birds to get this body weight. I want to show you that it's not expensive. If you're keeping the birds 1 week longer on starter feed, it will not cost you a lot. This is the starter feed you're using until 3 weeks. And when you check it, we have protein of 20%. When you look at the grower, the protein level goes down, and we only have 18.5%. So this is a very intense feed, very dense feed, and it helps them to grow. Now, until week 3, these birds are eating 350 grams. If you keep these birds on the starter feed for 4 weeks, they're only eating 200 grams more. This 200 grams will cost you 1 cent. If you keep them until week 5, which is also not a problem, they're eating 440 grams more per bird. We're talking per bird. So you're spending 2 cents more for this extent. That is not a big amount of money for a very good, healthy layer you will have afterwards. The picture changes when you have to extend the grower. So if you change from starter to grower, you're ignoring the 3 weeks and the body weight for 3 weeks. You just say, okay, now I'm changing. And you have to do it with a grower feed, then you're talking about something else. So they're eating 1,000 standard, 1,765 grams until the 8th week, and I have to say this is European feed. When the feed is not so concentrated, the birds are eating more because they have to meet their demands. So a layer, for example, needs 18 grams of protein a day, and if the feed has only 15% of protein, only 12% protein, it has to eat more to get these 18 grams. So in this case, 1,765 grams means European feed. This is what they normally eat until 8 weeks. Now, if you have to extend, because your body weight is not there, 1 week longer, the birds are eating 385 grams more per bird, and that will already cost you 8 to 12 cents more per bird. And if you have to extend it to 10 weeks, it will cost you 16 to 24 cents more. So economically, it makes much more sense to look for the first 3 weeks, extend the starter a little bit longer, and then you have a bird which is in a good starting position. Is that understood? Any questions to that? No? I give you an example what is happening when you don't have the right body weight. This is from Russia. So from Russia, I think these are 12 flocks, 12 different flocks, and this is our standard production, the black line here. And these are the different flocks. Each flock has another color. And you can see they went in production quite nicely. Then they all had this dip. They were all losing production. Some of them went on the standard, but not very long. And these ones don't even came up to the standards. Here, they were only at, I think, 75%. So as you can see, this is a big loss. This dots here is the average. So not a very good production. Why did they not have a good production? And this is in the rearing their body weight. So here you can see this is the standard. Here's the standard. They were actually not too bad. They were gaining weight very nicely. But here there was a dip. Here the birds lost weight. And here they lost weight. That means from this period on there was no growth. They were supposed to go up here and there were no growth. The reason was they had a very tough vaccination program They were transferring the birds with 15 weeks into the production house. They had a very bad debeaking, and all this led to these 2 drops here in body weight. So if you look at it, you think, yeah, it's not so bad, you know, my body weight's here, well, okay, we have a little dip here and a little dip here, so what really is the problem? The problem is this: a lot of money lost. After correcting these problems I just mentioned, this is how the flock or the farm was doing 2 years later. And you see, this is our standard. All the flocks were over the standard. This one was on the standard, but all of them were outproducing our standards. Only by correcting body weights. Only by body weights, nothing else. They didn't change the feed quality in production. They didn't do anything else in production. It was only looking after the body weights in the rearing. So, do yourself a favor. Go into your next flock, or in the flock you have now in rearing, take the body weights, compare it, and if you see my birds don't have the body weight, go into action immediately. Increase the feed, change the feed, help them, get them cool water, and come to me later and give me your examples and I will tell you what to do later. But this is the message I would like to get over. Do not save on feed in the rearing. It will cost you a lot in production. Much more than you can ever save. Feed. Do you think this is a good feed? Please raise your hands when you like this feed. Nobody likes the feed, and he's right, because this feed is not homogeneous. Birds are grain eaters, so what they will do, they will ignore these powders, they will go for the bigger particles, but they cannot eat these very big particles. So this feed, there's a lot of money lost, because all these maize grains cannot be eaten by the chicks, so it's lost money, and the fine particles will not be eaten. So if you get this kind of feed from your feed supplier, but I'm sure SR doesn't have it, send it back. Tell them they should come again with better feed. What do you think about this feed? You like it? Who likes this feed? Hands up. You like the feed? Okay. You also like that feed? Okay. This feed is very fine. It's very difficult for this bird to eat it. It's like when we put ourselves in a plate of flour. Try to eat flour. After 2 spoons of flour, we say, whoa, where's the water? We can't eat it. This is too fine, especially when you have hot climates, very difficult for the birds to eat. This is from our feed mill, the structure of our feed. And you see the difference? There are no particles which are bigger or smaller. The birds cannot choose between the bigger ones or smaller ones, they're eating all of it. So the birds are getting much more even feed intake, so they're eating everything. They eat the soya beans, they eat the maize, they eat the wheat, so they eat everything. They cannot start selecting feeding. Try to aim, if you do your own feed, try to aim on this one. If you have feed suppliers, tell them you want to have that structure. Why are we using developer? So I was talking a lot about the body weights in the rearing. Why do we need developer? So the developer needs to have a good structure. Again, this fine feed is not helping the birds. It needs 5 to 6% fiber to develop a good intestine, a good digestive system. And the good thing is to empty feeders once a day for 1 to 2 hours, not more, because then you stimulate the birds to eat more. If a layer finds feed all the time, then it's not so interested in feeding. When you keep it empty for a while, they will get in panic and think, oh, there's no more feed here, and the next time you give feed, they will all run and eat. So why do we need to have a feed with good structure? Look at this example. This is a gizzard of a bird which was fed by nice structured feed, coarse grinded feed, with enough fiber in it, and this is the gizzard of a bird which got fine feed. So what do you think is better? The big one or the small one? The big one, of course, because in the big one the bird can eat more, the feed can be grinded better, the birds can take more nutrition out of your feed, and at the end it will give you more eggs. So this is why we need to have a feed with a good structure. If you can't do anything about the feed structure, if you do your feed yourself, you don't have a roller mill, you only have a hammer mill, your feed comes out very fine. There's a very simple thing to do: put water on the feed, make it wet. These are photos from Argentina. So this gentleman has feed in here, he puts water on top of it, he's mixing it, it's a bit dark, but he's mixing it, and the birds are running. Which farm was I? I was in Zambia, in the farm in Zambia. They're now spraying. They have also too fine feed. They have a problem in the feed mill, and they spray with a knapsack. They're going, and actually that was with a jerry can. They go over. They make it wet. The birds are running for the feed. They're eating enough, and they have a good production. So very simple things you can do to help them. If you have the feed in manual feeders, you can also wet them, mix them, make it a little bit wet, spray on it, go in with a knapsack sprayer, spray on it, and you will see the feed intake will increase, and with this, the production. Beak treatment. This is one of my horror stories. So, beak treatment is a huge issue. Do you think this is a good beak treatment? Yes? No. This bird cannot eat. Look at this one. Do you think this one can eat? This one. Look at this. It doesn't have a beak anymore. It's starving to death. Look at this here. The blade was too hot. It has a bulb. So, do you think this is a good equipment? This was in Gabon. It was a blood check. I mean, do you see these spots here? This is from cutting the beak. The blood was spraying everywhere. So this is really, really bad. Luckily nowadays, you don't have to worry about it anymore. Most hatcheries have the Novatech machine, and the Novatech machine is a machine which is just with a laser burning the beak, and then after 10 days the beak falls off. And I thought maybe you're interested to see how it works. I'm also interested to see how it works. So, this was in Angola, and they got this machine new, so they are still practicing, but I thought it's very nice for you to see what is happening. So, layer chicks, you hang them in these holders. Yeah? You have seen that before? And then, you see this light bright? This is the laser. So the beak of the birds is getting laser treated, a little bit burned. That's the light. And then they can also install the vaccination tools on it, and you see now here the birds are going around and they're getting vaccinated in the neck with this vaccine in the back. The outcomes are chicks with a beak which is burned. They don't feel any pain. They made research in Europe. Don't ask me how you can find out if the chick has painful feeding or not. I don't know if they made an interview, but they say there is no pain for the chick. After 10 days, these beaks are falling off. And this is actually a photo from Ghana. This is one of our customers in Ghana, and you see how nice these beaks are. Very nicely beaked. There's no cannibalism here, no pecking here. And the birds have good body weights, because of course when you do a beak treatment, nowadays they know that the nerves, especially in layer, the nerves are going until the tip of the beak. So if you do a debeaking, it's really painful for the birds. They will stop eating for a few days, for a week, and then you don't get the body weight. These birds don't feel pain, they just eat and you have good body weights. Light program. Can I ask you, who's using a light program in his house? Please raise your hand. Who's giving light? None of you is giving light? Very good. One person is giving light. 2. Come on guys, you are all not giving lights. You have natural daylight number 3. I cannot believe it. Nobody has a light, extra light in his house. When you put the chicks in your house, you don't give them light? You do. Why don't you put your hands up? So, again, who is using light in his house? 1, 2, we're waking up. Very good. Okay, cool. So, now this is a difficult question. Who is giving longer than 1 week, 24 hours of light? No, nobody will put this light up because I said that's bad. So, be honest. Who's giving more than 1 week, 24 hours of light? 2, 3. Okay. I have news for you. Use this light program. So it's very simple. You have, your chicks are coming at 12 o'clock in the night or 12 o'clock in the afternoon. You house them, you put them in your house, you give them 4 hours of light. After 4 hours, you switch off the light. Most farmers are closing their brooding houses with plastic, and most of the plastic is blue or black. And that's enough. I mean, it is dark enough for these chicks. So after 4 hours, you switch off the light for 2 hours. In these 2 hours, the chicks are resting. They can sleep, they rest, they can relax a bit. After 2 hours, you switch on the light again. And what is happening is that smart chicks, the ones who know where is the food, where is the water, they will start running to food and water. And the weaker one, the stupid chick, she's like, where's my sister going? Oh, let's see where she's going, and she will run after her. And then she will also start eat and drink. So the outcome will be you have a flock with low mortality and you have a uniform flock, a better uniformity, because they're all eating and drinking at the same time.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Is that for one chick day?
Come again?
That one is for 1 day.
It's 1 day. I go through it. So, you put the chicks in 12 o'clock in the afternoon. 4 hours later is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. 16 hours. Then you switch it off for 2 hours. That means from 16 to 18, 6 o'clock. From 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, no light. You switch it off. 6 o'clock, you put the light on again. 4 hours. That is till 10 o'clock in the evening you have light. 22 hours. Then you switch it off again until 12 o'clock in the night. So from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, 22 plus 2 hours is 24 is midnight. You switch it off. Alternate. Then we have midnight. You switch the light on again for 4 hours until 4 o'clock in the morning. Then you switch it off again for 2 hours until 6 o'clock in the morning. 6 o'clock in the morning, 2 more hours till 10 o'clock. And then 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock you make it dark again, and then we have 24 hours behind. So this is 24 hours of light. 2 hours darkness, 4 hours light. 2 hours darkness, 4 hours light. Did I explain it well? Yeah? You understood? You find this also in our management guide, and I'll show you where to find that. So why? I mentioned before, they're eating and they're resting at the same time. The weak chicks will be stimulated to eat so they don't die on you. You have a flock which is behaving the same. They eat at the same time, they drink at the same time, good uniformity. And you have a reduced first week mortality. So, what is a light program? Why do we have a light program? Why don't we just put them in our house and we say, here, go happy? With the light program, what we're doing, we are stimulating European spring. And if you remember, the birds first came from Asia to Europe and then from Europe to Africa. So the selection of the layers you have nowadays is from chicks coming from Europe. So we are stimulating European spring. And why? Because no bird with brain in Europe would start laying eggs in snow in the winter. Because now it's cold, the chicks, its offspring, the babies will not find anything to eat. The birds is waiting for spring. And how do they know that it's spring? When the days are getting longer. Because whoever has been to Europe in the winter, you will see our days are very short. The sun is coming up very late and it's going down very early. So no bird will lay any eggs there. Once in springtime, and we just had spring, 21st of March is spring, so our days are getting longer and longer and longer. And for the birds, this is the signal. Now I have to lay eggs. Now I have to prepare to lay eggs, because when I now hatch my chicks, my babies, then I can feed them. So this is what we do with a light program. We are stimulating spring. This is the standard light program which you find. What you see here, you are housing the chicks and then you decrease the light. Then it stays, and here it says 9 hours, so I'm going to tell you in 1 second, ignore this light program, I'm just explaining what is happening. And here, you increase the light, so the birds have the feeling, I'm going into spring, I have to produce eggs. This is in the rearing lights which are decreasing, and then in the production, or to prepare them for production, increased light to push them into lay. But we are not using this one. What I want you to use, or what I recommend you to use, is a light program, and most people will have open houses, which is adjusted to open houses and also which helps your bird to get good body weight. And we start with the alternating light program, we just talked about, and you use this one for 1 week. Only 1 week. And then you go to 21 hours of light in a day, so that means you have 12 hours of light, so 21, you give 3 hours of dark, you shut down the light for 3 hours, and then every week you reduce the amount of light, or you increase the amount of hours where you don't have light. I have an example for that. So you are decreasing slowly the light until you have 12 hours, and this is, you are on the equator here in Uganda, so your day length is 12 hours, you stay on the 12 hours until you then stimulate the birds into lay. And that means you are increasing the hours of light every week. I made a little example in numbers because that's easier to understand. So, week number one, you use the 2-4-2-4-2-4. In the second week, you give them 21 hours of light. Week 3, 20. Week 4, 19. Week 5, 18. 17, 16, 15, 14, until you are on 12 hours of light. Then you stay on this 12 hours of light until they have a body weight of 1.4 kilos. And once they have 1.4 kilos, you increase every week 1 hour until you reach 16 hours of light. Somebody has a problem with that? Do you all understand this light problem? Yeah? Is it clear, or are there questions? Okay.
By the time you increase to 16 hours,
yeah,
what should be the live body weight?
The right body weight then is, when you have 16 hours, they should be on 1.6, 1.7 kilo. Yeah. And you only start the light program when they have 1.4 kilos, because if they don't have this body weight, they will start laying eggs too early. If the birds start laying eggs too early, you have a few problems. Number one is prolapse, because they're too small. And the second thing is they are running out of energy very quickly. So you might get into a peak production, but it goes down very fast. Because they will use their own body to produce eggs, and they're just too small for it. You wait until 1.4 kilos, and then you go on with stimulating them. And don't be shy to go up to 16 hours of light, so you have 4 hours more than the normal daylight, because these 16 hours will give them time to eat enough. Of course, they have to find feed, but eat enough and have a good production. Yes? Yes. Good. Water. Water is a problem. I very often come into houses and the water is not fresh and the water is warm, and the farmer is saying, I don't know what is happening, these birds are not producing. Nobody looks at the water. So, this is a test with Mr. Liesen and Mr. Summers did 25 years ago, 2000, and it is still valid now. And I like this table very much because it shows you two things: the effect of water and the effect of feed intake. So, Mr. Liesen and Mr. Summers, they had 2 flocks. One flock got warm water, one flock got cold water. Look at the effects on the consumption. This is the grams per bird per day. How much grams did the birds eat per day? When they got warm water, they were only eating 63.8 grams. When they got cold water, they were eating 75.8 grams. So 12 grams more. 12 grams more feed intake, only because they had cooler water. Now you say, "Pooh, this is very expensive, now they're eating more, why should I give them cold water when they eat more?" I tell you why. Because look at the production. The production went from 81 gram, the flock with the warm water only had 81% of production. The one with the cool water had 93% production. Make a little calculation how many eggs more that is. Yeah, 4 more feed intake. If you don't put fuel in the car, you might save some money, but it will stop at the next cross. Yeah. So you need to put fuel in your layers, otherwise there will be no eggs coming up. So I like this example very much because it shows you the effect of water, but also it makes it very clear that layers who are not eating are not producing. And this is another gentleman here, Mr. Bell. He made a test in 2002, and this was the egg production with warm water, and this was the egg production with cool water. So you see, the effect of cool water is very important. And ladies and gentlemen, this is not fresh and cool water. This is what I see sometimes. And they say, "Oh, but the chicks have water, what's the problem?" You can do very simple things you can do in your farm to have cool water and fresh water, of course. So, what do you think about this one here? We are cooking water here. That's a tea cooker. We have a black container in full sun, which is not very big. What is the outcome? Nice bathing water or coffee water. And you see this farmer here, he was smart, he made some simple things. He just put shade over it with simple materials, and he was insulating his water tank a little bit. So this water from here is much cooler, much fresher than the ones from this one. When you have bell drinkers, when you have nipple drinkers in your house, make sure that you flush them. So every 2-3 hours, make sure that you have the water, flush the nipple lines, flush the drinker lines, because of course when the water is staying in a warm house, the water is getting warm. So there is no cooling effect on that. Flush it, and this image here, that was in India, open water system, and the water was 40 degrees Celsius. So no cooling here. This is a little bit of the management, what you can do for your birds, what you can do to help them to get good results. And I want to show you what we are doing on our side that you have good results. So I think Lomas is the only company so far who has so many testing stations. The others have 1 or 2. What we want to do is to make birds which are really for hot climates, which are for Africa. So what we do is something which is called crossbreed testing. This is a test of performance under real circumstances. So we put birds 3-4 generations ahead of the ones you see at the moment in your country. So we put them in the real environment all around, in Russia, in South America, in the Philippines, but also in Africa. Open houses, cages, hot water. And we want to improve the hens. So this is where we have cross lines at the moment. We have in Africa, we have in Europe, we have in America, we have in the Philippines, and we have in Russia. So what is a cross line? I show you a little bit how it looks like in a breeding scheme. So this is the pure lines. This one are the pure lines which a breeding company has as his base of production. This is what makes all the breeds, all the layers coming out, all the parent stuff. So this is what we keep. Then normally you have one generation further, this is the grandparents. So the grandparents are producing the parent stock. Parent stock are, for example, the birds you find in Quantum. And then these parent stock, they are producing the commercial layers you can buy from hatcheries. Now the crossbreed makes a jump. And the crossbreed takes the children, so the offspring, of the pure lines. So we are jumping 3 generations. That means the birds we are putting in these tests now, we can see this family is doing very well in hot climates, so it stays in the breeding program. And then we have families who are not doing well in hot climates, we take them out of the breeding program. So 3 generations on, you as farmers will already get birds which are selected for this climate. And we are doing this test already 5-6 years, so the effect is already there. And I'll show you that. So, what are we recording? And I'll show you in a second how we're doing it. We are recording the daily egg production, the mortality, the egg weight, the body weight, and very important, the feathers. Because a bird which is losing feathers will need more feed because it will lose body temperature. It has to eat more to keep warm. We are also checking for the beak length. In Europe, we are not allowed to do debeaking anymore or beak treatment, so we have to see that the birds have shorter beaks, so there are less problems with pecking. We are checking for the feather conditions. We are also selecting by genes, so we can take blood samples and then look at the genes and then say, this is a family which is doing well, so this bird can stay in, and the other ones, they go out. And we are also looking for good bones, for the keel bones, so for strong bones, so the layers can stay longer in production. Nowadays we have 120 weeks of production, is more or less normal. This is what we did last week in Zambia. You see my colleague has a little device in the hand, that's a scanner, and every bird has a little wing band. So all the birds have a number. These were 5,000 birds with a number, so we know each and every bird. And we were scanning the number. The device then said this bird has to go in cage number 2220. Then these 10 people who are helping us, you see all of them have birds. Here is the number of the cage, and then they were putting these birds in the cages, which belong to them. And then you had, in this cage, 2,284. You had the hen, unfortunately it was raining a bit, so she's wet, but this hen belongs into this cage, and that's one family. And then the test, now for the next, that was last week, so they will start laying hopefully in a week. And then it will be recorded for each and every cage, how many eggs, how much mortality, how does the plumage look like. Feed tests we can't do, it's a bit complicated, but this is already the first 3 or 4 things we can test on them. And then we know this family in cage 2284, this is good for hot climates and this is bad for hot climates. And you can see that this has already effects. So this is the blue one is Lohmann Light, the Lohmann Brown Classic, the one you have here in Uganda, and this is the LB Light. You don't have that one here. And you can see these are the different generations. So generation 47, 48, 49, and here is 45. And each generation produced more eggs. So there was a steep increase in the number of eggs per bird in this, every generation produced more. With this selection we did. And the mortality went down. So from generation 47, so this generation is like 7 years old, to generation 45, the mortality went down. So birds which are much better adapting to the climate and producing more eggs. And I think here you can see 21 eggs more for the classic and 23 eggs more for the light over a period of 7 generations. And this is something you should see here. These are again a number, this is the oldest generation, this is the youngest generation, and you can see on the peak production they're more or less on the same. but what the difference is at the end of production is much higher than before. So they're staying in production much longer on a higher level. These are some results from Uganda. I got the results a few days ago. So what you see here is, I call them breed A and B because they are our sisters. I don't want, no, this one is our sister, this one not. I don't want to say names, but these are the number of eggs, and you can see this is the Loma brown chick. So 110 for this flock, 101, the other 107 and 195. In week 35, in week 41, 150 for the Loma Brown Classic, 47 for A, and 147 for breed number A, 135B. And this is with 46 weeks production, 183 compared to 176. And this is a result from Angola, also our sister company. I call it A and B, not to get in trouble. So this farm had Loma here until 2020. Then they had flocks of Highland until number B, flock B, until 2022. And then they changed again to the Loma. And what you can see that there is an increase every breed, for every breed there is an increase. But when you look at the increase of the Lomas, it's much steeper than from the other company. So every generation has an increase from every breeding company, but the question is how good is your development? How good is your genetic development? And I think we're doing quite well. I come to the end of my presentation. This is my email address, so if you have any questions, please send me an email or meet me outside. This is the website from Loman. And when you go to this website, you can download the management guide where more or less everything I told you here is in a compact version inside. You can find a place with hot topics, so there are discussions going on about avian influenza, anything DB King, maybe not so interesting for you. Then there are tips and articles you can find in this management guide, and many, many other things more. So go to the website and you will get a huge source of information just by browsing through this website. And I thank you very much for your attention.
Raw materials in Uganda are very, very unpredictable, especially when it comes to maize. So if someone is having 90%, you might find that it's not able to feed the batch just because of the cost of the raw materials. That is true. We all know that our market for the raw materials is unstable, right? But there are things that usually we plan. You know, it is hard a farmer of 70,000 like him to be running for food of a day. A farmer of 70,000, even 10,000, you cannot be running for food daily. Now, that is the criteria and the grading that we usually look at. You have to stock food which can at least take you for a month. 1,000 birds is close to 10 million that you are holding in your hands. But you cannot plan for 10 million. You only wait for the manager to tell you in the morning that the birds don't have what to eat at lunch. The food we are having is only ending in the morning. Lunch is zero. Then that is when you wake up to call your friends, to call your feed meters, to look for what you can bring at lunchtime to give the birds. Then the challenge of raw materials will hit you. Because at any price they will tell you, you buy it. Are you getting me? But if you had stocked before the preparation of whatever number you are planning, you usually have an estimated cost
that I have to be with this much of money for this birds for this period, then you order for that. If you cannot afford that, then you reduce the number of the flock to a flock which you can afford, which you can sustain without running for funds. Doctor, you ready?
No, we are the IT people. There is a computer.
IT, we need support here.
IT.
So that's why I usually tell you not to go for 10,000, because you have seen Mr. Stephen is rearing 10,000 with his structures well established. Then for you want to chase your tenants, then you also do 5,000 because you are competing with Stephen. Because you have land and you had some houses, you want to do your brooding as you wish. You will not attain the weight, you will not attain the graph as Madam Vaira has projected there, of that growth of skeleton in those stages or in those weeks. Because we'll be gambling. We have a challenge in Uganda of someone that will come just out of the blue. Someone is having a deal of 50 million, then they told him or her that poultry is good. Then you go to poultry. You set one structure, then you order for 10,000 birds.
So maybe now this is
Then after you come and complain that this business is not profitable. Because whatever you are doing just. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Isaac. I have a request. I'm a very new farmer. You've actually touched on some of us who just jumped into poultry because we've been told it's a very profitable business. I'm actually very, very new. I think my chicks are about 2 weeks old. But from her presentation is very good, and I don't know if we are able to access that information, especially on the slides. Yeah, the slides, especially on the body weight. It was really, really good information for some of us.
I'm very happy to hear.
Yes, thank you.
The thing is, we are not allowed to share our presentations, but we are not allowed as employees. We are not allowed to share presentations. It's very astonishing where these presentations come up suddenly and what is done with them. But what we can do is just come to me later and I'll show you where you can find the information I gave you here. And if there's any slide you specifically like, I can give that one slide to you. But generally, the majority of things I said, so the base of everything I said, you find in the management guide. And the management guide you can download from the website I showed you. But if there's any specific one you would like to have, because you want to memorize it, just let me know. And you can make a photo of it or I'll send it to you. Yeah?
I think that is okay.